Hello, my name is April Bright. Thank you for viewing my Inquiry Project Findings and Implications presentation. Today, I will talk about negative representations of African Americans and other minority groups in media and its relation to the inarticulate. Findings. I have found largely that there are negative representations of African Americans and other minority groups in media in the United States. Research shows that media portrayals has found that African Americans have been frequently portrayed in stereotypical occupational roles with negative personality characteristics and as low achievers. According to Black Panther Inspires More Than African Americans, think about how such images would impact your sense of self-worth. And worse, think about how that makes your fellow Americans see you and your community. It's really important that people understand that it's bigger than seeing black faces in positive roles portrayed in media. It's more so about how African Americans and other minority groups internalize these images and perceive themselves. More important, how young African American children are influenced by such negativity and how it can degrade their own self-worth, creating insecurities. In my fourth grade classroom, I stumble upon many conversations between my students, especially conversations that include what they watched on television the previous night. While I believe they shouldn't be exposed to certain television programs, as a mother and a teacher, I'm forced to hear their perspectives about them. They reference reality shows such as Love and Hip Hop or The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they dissect the issues presented in the episodes almost the way adults do. The big difference is adults can watch television shows and movies and understand that it is pure entertainment. However, when children encounter these types of shows, they internalize it and it exudes in their behavior in my classroom. Much of what is seen on television shows such as Love and Hip Hop or The Real Housewives of Atlanta is arguing, fighting, disrespecting, and drama, largely between women of color. I not only model but explicitly teach social and emotional skills on a weekly basis. Although they understand the correct ways to handle problems or issues with others or themselves, they still think that it is acceptable to be disrespectful to one another or argue because of what someone else said to them. I constantly reiterate the importance of social and emotional training, not just as a set of classroom rules, but lifelong skills. Unfortunately, I haven't seen a great deal of change within my students' behavior in terms of how they treat each other, while on the other hand, their behaviors are heavily indicative of what's presented as reality on television. Implications. Although African Americans have progressed substantially from slavery and fighting for civil rights, they are still being targeted in areas concerning police relations, justice, prison systems, subjection to low-income neighborhoods, negative advertising of alcohol and cigarettes primarily in low-income areas, lack of resources in primarily African American schools, and job discrimination. Negative media portrayals of African Americans will become more prevalent if not addressed. If the United States continues to promote negative portrayals of African Americans, it will in turn affect African Americans negatively. I constantly think about my childhood compared to my students' childhoods. They have access to technology and media in ways we never had when I was a child. They're able to watch reality television shows when it didn't exist when I was growing up. I think about the implications of this issue in terms of my son and my fourth grade students and young African American children everywhere who are exposed to television programs and movies that promote African Americans in negative roles. What's going to happen to them as they continue to grow? Are they going to rise above it or continue to portray behaviors similar to what they've seen on television growing up?